We're live, Mr. Wade. Belizeans at home and abroad, welcome to the Belizean Affairs Show number 412. 412. We hope that whatever we have to say tonight will bring some positive public benefit to you, our Belizean people at home, as well as those abroad and others who listen to us. Uh, we have a specific program that we'd like to bring to you tonight, and we just hope that you will bear with us as we present it. It's kind of lengthy, and I hope you can stay with us and don't fall asleep because this one they come from the field. So I give them a little heads up, you know, before before 1 2 by 4 hit me in the car on the head. But also I never at least mention it. And I know a lot of people are gonna be well, by the way, before I said that, I'll be the chairman for tonight's show being Friday night. And some of what I'll be talking about here, I know I go must some cans, but at this point our government needs to be brought to heel. Okay? We cannot continue with these rascals just playing the fool, taking our powers of governance and suborning it to take advantage of us, while at the same time going to the House and trying to create additional bogus law contrary to the constitutional prescription and the Constitution itself and the basic civil rights of our society. We cannot abide that for too long more. So anyhow, before I get into the actual program, we'll just follow the same pattern that we use on our platform, and that is to we'll have a short prayer, after which we'll have a reading, and hopefully, if I can ask Mr. Wade to volunteer to give us some, at least a small commentary on anything that might be of interest to him or maybe a concern to him. After he finished doing a reading, that he would be able to afford us that privilege to hear him on some of his concerns. Mr. Wade, who is our next senior panelist, I yield back to you, sir, for the self-identification.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, it's a pleasure to sit in your company.
The pleasure
You
is mine.
know, was down for the counter. The flu had me and took advantage of me, and but I beat it. I beat it. So thank God for that. This was a really bad one. I haven't been feeling like this for many, 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 many years. But thank God that I feel much better. I even got back my voice, Leonard. Thank you.
Amen. God working in
Thank
mysterious ways,
you.
my brother.
It's so as always, Leonard, like you say, in essence of time, hopefully we'll be joined by Mr. Gregory Brackett too, Leonard, our next senior panelist. Don't
Yes,
know
sir.
how he's doing
And
so far.
I sent out an invite too again to
Mr.
um,
Morrison also.
just
Yes,
in
sir.
case you can make it.
Yes, sir.
I know you
Leonard,
might.
I'll lead us in a prayer, Leonard, as
Oh,
to our format.
one statement I want to make as
Yes,
regards to
sir.
Mr. Morrison. I hope he doesn't get the idea that we're trying to steal him, no?
Yes, 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 yes.
But we do appreciate his presence
Yes.
whenever he can
Oh
make it.
yes, oh yes, we sure do.
Thank you
And
very
we
much, sir.
invite any other Leonard also that wishes to voice their concern through our program. We invite you with no problem at all. So there goes the invite. Leonard, I'll lead us in a short prayer, Leonard.
Yes, sir.
Divine loving Father, as we come to you on our 412th
Well,
edition of our Belizean Affairs show, we humbly ask you, Lord God, to please guide us. We pray that you give us the wisdom, the fortitude, the will, the courage to speak truth to power.
amen.
And as Lord God Almighty, as we know that tomorrow is promised to no one, but we give thanks and praise to you for this day
Amen.
and for all those that did not make it, Lord God, this day. May their souls continue to rest in peace.
Amen.
And for all those who seeks justice, may they, you know, get justice, and clear their hearts. Lord God,
Amen.
there's a lot going on around the world, wars, rumors of wars. Lord God Almighty, please guide and protect the vulnerable and the innocent, the
Amen.
children, that the civilians that you know suffers in times of war. We pray that the leaders, the worldly leaders, turn from their wicked ways and do right by their people and nation.
Amen.
Lord God Almighty, again, please guide us, protect us, and give us the will to speak truth to power. In Jesus' name,
Amen.
amen.
Thank you very much for your gracious prayer, Mr. Wade.
Mr. Chairman, I'll do a reading from Matthew, uh,
So,
Matthew 20:23, 1 to 10, and it reads, Then Jesus said to the crowd and to his disciples, The scribes and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. So practice and observe whatever they tell you, but not what they do, for they preach but do not practice. They tie up heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on people's shoulders,
mm-hmm.
but they themselves are not willing to move them with their fingers. They do all their deeds to be seen by others, for they make their lectures broad and their fringes long, and they love the place of honor at, at feast and the best seats in the synagogues and greeting in the marketplace and being called rabbi by others. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers, and call no man your father on earth, for you have one Father who is in heaven.
Amen.
Neither be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Christ. The greatest among you shall be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut the kingdom of heaven in people's face. For you neither enter yourselves, nor allow those who would enter to go in. That's my reading, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you
Matthew
very much.
10, 23,
And
chapter
that
23.
particular reading appears to be in sync with what I was mentioning earlier about some of our scribes and Pharisees in our assembly going up there and making laws, onerous laws, to be punitive to our society and our people, while they don't make the laws that they promised they were going to make to stop them from, you know, doing mischief and stealing the country's assets, such as the law of Uncap. They promised that they was going to do it, and they did not. They have not so far. But yet, the last meeting they had, they were making laws, you know, to double up the hardship on the society in terms of the criminal, what they would perceive the people breaking those laws should suffer twice as much, and they are not suffering any at all. So thank you very much, sir. That was, I mean, it,
Wow.
it, it fell right in line, and thank you for it.
Thank you. You're welcome, Mr. Chairman. Um, Mr. Chairman, if you indulge me a couple minutes, you know,
Yes, sir. I'd appreciate if you grace us.
recently,
Go ahead, sir.
recently, Mr. Chairman, we had a A budget reading again, as for other readings, house sitting for acquiring monies so that they can spend. Um, so for me, the budget is just one of those others that they come to the house and prescribe for more money. Um, you know, when you talk about making laws, for the people, again, I watch some laws that they're prescribing for not for themselves but for the poor and less fortunate and the taxpayers. Mr. Chairman,
So,
they are lobbying, for insurance premium to go up, right? And I say again, who will suffer? Who will feel that? Sure, not them, because the taxpayers pay for all that for them. All that is covered in their package. So, you know, yeah, you go again, Mr. Chairman, the laws that they make
to
and
impoverish the
prescribe not for themselves but for the poor and less fortunate. Again, you see, the way our leaders are behaving, the things that they are doing publicly. Um, I will say this, that I give thanks to the U.S. to start bringing down some pressure on this government now and demanding accountability, something that we, Mr. Chairman, has been talking about for some time, especially myself. I've been asking my government, U.S. government, to start to do some due diligence in terms of demanding accountability for the taxpayers' money that is being given to the government of Belize and what they do with it. They squander it and no accountability. They do things and they do things to suffocate the very same people that elect them to protect them and serve them. So I'm glad that pretty soon, Mr. Chairman, that they will have to answer. They will have to answer. And we have them been talking, Mr. Chairman, that we demand them. We are demanding that they pass UNCA, past and present government.
long overdue.
Long overdue. They are afraid of that. They are afraid, right? Um, and they keep hiding. They keep hiding. But like I always say, Leonard, whatever you do here, and my people both at home and abroad, whatever you do here, you will have to pay right here. So whatever they are hiding, they will have to produce it at some point in time. Um, Again, Mr. Chairman, I watched another a part of it, another Senate Select Committee hearing again on
Mm.
our finances and demanding accountability and watch and as for me, it's just a show, right? Because as of previous Senate hearing, what is the outcome of that? What did we see? Nothing came out of it. No one is held accountable. In fact, they laughed all the way to the bank.
Mhm.
Continue to laugh all the way to the bank. And who are they laughing at? The taxpayers of this country called Belize.
Mr. Wade, they don't even want to give us the receipts or any information about how much millions of dollars they paid to their lawyers,
Exactly.
you know, to sift us.
Exactly. So that's to show you, for those of you who have eyes to see and for those of you who have ears to hear, that's for you to see the kind of people that you have been electing to serve you, and for you to see what they continue to do repetitiously to you, the people, right? And no one dares to touch them. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, I like to say is that these people are well connected. They set their people in seats that they're put there to cover up the people that they both parties when they come in they bring in their own gangsters. I call them gangsters to cover their evil deeds, right? So this other select this committee hearing that they're having, nothing will come out of it. It's a waste of taxpayers' dollars, but they show like they're doing something, right? But in the result will be zero, and they will move on. So, Mr. Chairman, I again plead to my senator, U.S. senator, to the government of the United States to start to demand some accountability, demand some truth, and do due diligence for the taxpayers of the United States, and hold these people accountable. And I pray that sooner or later that UNCAC is passed so that we could hold some of these criminals, some of these crooks, some of these jackals, hold them accountable. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, for your
That's how I feel.
concerns, and your forthright steadfastness in terms of not bending your tongue or bending your knee and giving way to these jackals to continue to mistreat us, even though we elected them and gave them the power to run our governance system. Because without people like yourself and others, we would be worse off, Mr. Wade. That much I can assure you. And you know, these guys, if they weren't, if we weren't complaining about them and giving them a run for the money, they'd have taken a lot more money than what they have taken so far. But that is not the focus of my presentation for tonight. So let me just gear up my own mindset in terms of,
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Go ahead.
like I said, I have a couple of pieces of 2x4 in my back pocket and pull out tonight. So I just give everybody a fair warning.
Yes, sir.
You intend to wheel them around and whop them all over the place and hit the innocent and the bystanders. I really intend to, if I pull them out any at all, I intend to pull them out at the right people, and I'll call them by name too if I need to. Hopefully not. Anyhow, for tonight's program, being Friday night, and on Fridays, we try to specifically target the Constitution per se in terms of appraising our people of Belize, both those at home and abroad, in terms of what our Constitution says in regards to how our country is supposed to be governed, and in regards to what our elected officials are supposed to do in terms of providing for us governance, not to say the least, good governance at that. So let me take off here on this little, like I said, I'll take off now on a, like on a little, only plane, because I don't got wings, I can't fly, so I have to use only board plane.
Hmm.
Just in case I get in that trouble, I got a couple of 2x4 in my pocket. If I have to fix it, I'll fix the plane a bit. But if I can't use it otherwise, like I said tonight, I get a fair warning. If I have to use it,
Yes,
I'll put it out.
yes,
Don't
sir.
get vexed with me, because even if you get vexed with me, you know I help. So here we go. Um, the following commentary slash or citations from the Constitution of Belize were made by Leonard Brackett for a public benefit awareness inst- instigated by the Sea Smoke variety show program, to which I was invited Uh, the date of this article here is May 27th, 2022. So it goes quite a bit back, almost 4 years now. Okay, so that's how far back this issue about our constitution and the need for us to delve into it more oftenly and learn and study it more oftenly, and in specific address some of the bastardization that our current government officials are doing to our constitution, and from way back to wage this battle. Okay, so uh, I was invited to the program, and they had some inquiries of me as a guest, and I'm residing in San Francisco, California. And the program was actually hosted at the time by Mr. G. Michael Reed. I believe it is still hosted by him, of Belize. And the program was engineered, technical engineering was done by Mr. Clinton Young, who resides in New York. The subject matter was Belize Constitution Act. And so I went on to stipulate by saying the Belize Constitution Act is the supreme law of Belize, accepted citations that I'm going to be quoting or making reference to were made by me on the 27th of May of 2022, based on Cap 4, Part 1 of the Constitution of Belize, Section 2, Subsection 1. And I'm going to give a series of citations here right now, some of which we may get into and read directly as it's stipulated in the Constitution. And I'll continue to do the citations then all as a group right now. As I said, Section 1 and Section 2, Subsection 1, and Part 5, Section 36, Subsection 1, as well as Subsection 2 and 3, and Section 37 of the Constitution of Belize, Subsection 1, 2, Subsection 4, 6, as well as Part 4 of the Constitution, Section 30 and 32, as well as 33, and Subsection 2 of 33, and Section 34, Subsection 1, Subsection 3, and, and 4, 2, Subsection 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the Constitution of Belize, revision uh, dated as of 20, 2011. And the title of the particular um, commentary, or essay, goes as follows: Sovereign powers of ascension, executive authority, and governance accountability empowerment. Those of you who follow our show or platform, the Belizean Affairs show platform on a regular basis, may recall recently I dealt with some matter that relates to the Governor General's purview. You may recall that title. And I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been last Friday. And if it wasn't last Friday, it could have been probably Monday of this week. But it wasn't too long ago that I dealt with that particular subject matter in terms of what the Constitution says about it. And I did a lot of quotations from the Constitution and citations. And those are what we call teachable moments. So tonight's program is going to fall into that same category of teachable moments for the benefit not of the lawyers or specifically for the government officials, but hopefully more likely than not, the benefit of or regular people who doesn't own a constitution and or are familiar with the constitution. So here we go. Part 1 of the Constitution, page number 16 in the electronic version, Constitution of Belize, says that the Constitution is supreme law. Under Section 2, subsection 1, it reads as follows in the Constitution. This Constitution is the supreme law of Belize, and if any other law, and every time I read this particular section of the Constitution and I get to that part where it speaks about other law, I kind of make it a point of emphasis to stress on that particular part of the Constitution when it speaks about other law. Because when it speaks about other law, it is not speaking of the Constitution in its original state or in its state where, as the supreme law of the land, it carries the power and it empowers the judiciary to hold fast and to make sure that any other law that is created by Congress or anybody else or any other protocol procedures or that they create for management purposes does not trump the Constitution. And that responsibility then lies with the Supreme Court under Section 20 of the Constitution of Belize, as well as Section, I think it's 95, 94, 95, also in regards to unlimited jurisdiction of the High Court and the Supreme Court of Belize in terms of addressing or rejecting any legal matter that is brought before it, because they are the only entity in the uh, three parts, the three sections of government that has the power to decide what is constitutional, what is legal, what is lawful. It is not for the Prime Minister or any member of cabinet to determine or decide what is legal, what is lawful, or what is constitutional. Even though, based on their behavior and their present track record, especially as of recently, it would seem like they have that as a belief system, that they have the right and the power and the authority vested in them to determine what is lawful, legal, or constitutional. And that itself is a transgression of the separation of powers doctrine and rules, which says that we have three sections or parts of government: the judiciary, which deal with all legal matters; the executive, which manages the day-to-day affairs of the country; and the um, legislative, which legislate uh, laws into existence or modify them. And each of them have their own jurisdiction to which none of the others is entitled to tread on or violate, because that's our system of law under our democratic system. Anyhow, I'll proceed further. Um, to continue the reading, it says, "This Constitution is the supreme law of Belize, and if any other law is inconsistent with this Constitution, that other law shall, comma, to the extent of the inconsistencies, comma, be void." Basically, if the legislator makes up a law that is inconsistent with the Constitution, that law that they make is not legal, lawful, or constitutional. It's violative of the Constitution. And as a result, that law is void. It has no legality behind it because it is not the legislator that gives legal authority. The issue of rendering whether something is legal or not rests squarely as a purview of the Supreme Court or the now redesignated High Court. And beyond that, appellate court, both at the Belize level and the appellate court at the final jurisdiction the ICJ, not ICJ, I'm sorry, CCJ, Caribbean Court of Justice. Again, like I said, this is one of those teachable moments, and I'll get to certain parts, and I'll like to ask Mr. Wade for his input when I get there. So, um, we'll not just be doing the citations and the readings, but we'll also be verbalizing our perspectives and try to give our individual input in terms of what bothers us and how we hope our government will abide by our constitution and do what's right on our behalf. Uh, in regards to that particular part there, Mr. Wade, before I go any further, I'd like to yield to you, sir, for your observations or your own personal perspective. You can grace us with a little bit of that.
Well, Mr. Chairman, as you know, the way I see and the way I have been, you know, living in terms of the laws and the, especially, you talk about the Governor General, right? It's, it's nice for the public and everyone to know that she has a certain way that she should be governed. She have certain protocols. She have certain things that is disposed to her, and she have certain powers
Hmm.
in the country of Belize. But as I know it, Mr. Chairman, you know that's the right way. But as far as I know it, it's all been going the wrong way.
Hmm.
Where number one is, Governor General, how is that person, he or she, elected? All party politics. It's not about credential. It's not about the things that these people knows and how advanced they are in our constitution. I just say that one item. But
Hmm.
no, it's about how loyal they are to either a UDP or a PUP party that is in power.
Hmm.
That's how that person is selected. Shouldn't be like that, as you rightfully, stated. Right? Shouldn't be like that. There is a procedure, protocol, and procedure. And in terms of selection, Mr. Chairman, um, it's the king now, but the queen had never selected. No, the queen is given a name. Mr. Young or Dame Anita God knew you. That's our our our
Forest Governor,
Governor
female
General,
Governor General. Uh-huh.
right? I'm just saying, right? The way how I know it, it, it happens in the nation of Belize. Should it be that way? No. But you see, it's all about you cannot bite the hands that feed you. Shouldn't be that way. This governor general should have certain powers. Call the prime minister, he or she, to attention,
Hmm.
right? This is what I want, and this is what as per protocol and procedure. But do they do that? No. They're always tagging along and playing the game too. They all play the game.
Hmm.
And I'll say no more on that part there, Mr. Chairman, because it's a sad situation. Very sad situation to see, how I could speak about the nation of Belize, is governed all the wrong way, right? So nothing is done by our constitution. Nothing is done by the law because past and present government do not respect the laws of this country. do not respect the Constitution. In fact, what they want to do with our Constitution. We see it plays out right in front of us.
Uh, Go ahead, sir. I'll just bring on Mr. Morrison and
So,
I'll see him in the background.
yeah, right, Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead, sir.
So until we start seeing, like for instance, the Governor General, doing her job as per protocol and procedure. Until then, we will continue to have chaos in our governing structure. Back to you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Mr. Morrison.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good night, Mr. Morrison. Could you grace us with
Yes,
your self-identification and um, I have a comment to make, and then I'll probably I don't know how much of what I had said before you might have been able to hear in the background. 'Cause it
I
seemed
heard
like,
what Mr. Wade was talking about.
oh, okay, yeah, because what I failed to pay attention
Okay,
keenly enough to recognize that she was there, and it appears that you might have been there for a little longer time than it should have been, So
no, that's
that's
fine.
why me a culpa on that one. I think I have to take out on into by football. I'm talk about earlier and what me oneself with it.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening to you, gentlemen, and good evening to our listeners across the breadth of the nation of Belize and in the diaspora, wherever we are. Wherever we are, Belizeans, we stand strong and we stand committed to the cause of Belize and to the development. And so, my name is Gregory Morrison, and I join these gentlemen every now and then to partake of what they are sharing with the diaspora and with the people in Belize. So thank you again, gentlemen, for inviting me.
Uh,
Welcome, Mr.
you're most
Morrison.
welcome, sir, and thank you too for gracing us with your presence and always what you have to offer. Because I think I've mentioned it to you in person before, but I'm going to do it now live on the show to say that we know you to come highly recommended, as well as you're spoken of in big circles. When I say big circle, I mean like power players, and you're due your respect. So I want to make sure that I know bypass uh,
Well,
my
thank you.
kudos. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll be coming to you in a little while, but just I'll spare for a second to make another comment. Mr. Wade kind of segued into what I had presented last week, and this week I was trying to deal with the specific as regards to the Constitution, and we will get into some of the Governor General things a little further down in the same presentation, so that what Mr. Wade said just now will be a point of focus as we move on in the rest of the presentation. But I do want to address something that he brought up, and that is that it is true that our politicians, both blue and red, who has governed our country since independence and before, have this idea and they propagate this. I don't want to use too much of a heavy word, but well, let me say it like this: they propagate this misinformed and misintended concept for their own purposes. That is to say, oh well, the governor general is just a figurehead. They have no real power or authority behind them, and therefore, just dismiss them. Pretend like they don't exist. Because as far as we are concerned, we are the government. We have the power. We exercise the power, and we don't need no stinking governor. like when we were young, we would have said that in Belize, right? I mean, when we talk, we leave Corona, we talk among ourselves, and so they get a little antsy. But anyhow, I just want to clarify something quickly, Mr. Wade, for the general public. Okay, I'm not. What I'm about to say is not to contravene what you just stipulated, because what you just stipulated is exactly as it actually is, and the way they practice it specifically. So those of you who have heard what Mr. Wade just said, don't think that I'm trying to oppose what he said or try to, that's not where I'm coming from. I'm trying to bring some additional enlightenment as to why is it that what's supposed to be is not what's supposed to be, and what is shouldn't be, but because of, as I'm going to explain right now. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. Uh, don't forget that tonight's program is one of those teachable moments. So you'll hear this discussion on these matters from various vantage points, which we hope will allow you, the Belizeans at home and abroad, and others who listen to our program, to get different flares or tastes, different perspectives, and be able to round out your previous or past knowledge with hopefully new things that we will probably be pointing out here on our program. Not everybody is at the same station in life in terms of their level of knowledge and awareness about these particulars. So to some people, it might be, just nonsense because they already know that as far as they're concerned. Like some of the lawyers, them who don't even appear to know what I'm talking about in the first place. But I won't even go there because otherwise they beat me over the head with the same 2x4 where they plan to use from there. Um, Mr. Wade, the truth of the matter is, sir, that these groups of individuals who we elect as government of our country, the blue and the red, which are the only two that have been successful in becoming our government, they don't have any authority, power, or rights vested in them, or any means of being able to decide who is going to be Governor General when they are in office. That is out of their purview, it's above their pay grade. I hope I'm not talking over nobody's head or I'm not stipulating something that maybe is not clear to people what I'm trying to say. But I'll try and say that in a different way. Again, same issue. When when a governor general is appointed, it is usually done to serve the interests of the head of state. It has very little to do with serving the interests of the prime minister and or cabinet unto itself only. That is not what governor generals are appointed for. Whether it be a male or a female governor general, whether it be Ms. Minita Garden or first female governor general, or whether it be Mr. Young, or it be Mr. Lam, or whoever. Most of the time, these people, they what you call, they age out. In other words, they become elderly and infirm, and or in the case where there's a healthy person that not a healthy, I'm misusing words. In the case where there's a young governor general who becomes infirm, that governor general then needs to be put to pasture like by the head of state, and then uh, appoint another governor general. Now the system is set up whereby when that situation occurs, that is, there is a need for a new governor general because of infirmity or age, then the prime minister elect or the prime minister that is in place at the time gets to pick a Belizean person to recommend. Of course, they have to show good faith that they have tried to find different people and not only just pick one person right off the bat. They go through a motion where they appear to be looking for the best qualified Belizean that will serve, you know, in that position. And then they recommend the final person that they nominate to the head of state, and the head of state can say yes or no. Not because they were recommended by any particular individual, or they were the final person. They can say yes or no. In most instances, as far as our history is concerned, they have always said yes. I mean, it's just that's part of the reason why people tend to have this impression that it's all a game being played, and so they don't give it the level of respect that it is deserved. But I'm trying to say that when Mr. When Miss Milita Garden was nominated, she was nominated under Mr. Price originally, and she served under Mr. Price. She served under Mr.
Esquivel.
Esquivel. Okay, she served both parties. She didn't just serve under just PUP, and when PUP lose, then UDP come in, and then just replace the governor. No, the governor general position is not set up in the constitution to serve the interests specifically and only of the government, or well, of course, the governor general is part of the government, but it's not set up to serve the party politics part of the process. You know, she's the senior executive in the country, representing on behalf of the main executive, which is the head of state. And the head of state, when he has an opportunity to appoint a governor general, whether because the previous one was sick or they die in office or for whatever reason, like I said, there are many reasons why new governor generals are put in office. But it's also a basic courtesy that the head of state exercise when the protocols for appointing a governor general goes through the local leadership in Belize in terms of the prime minister or whoever is the local, the highest elected official in the country, as a deference in terms of having a Belizean in that office. Okay, it's reserved for a Belizean. That office cannot be filled, and according to our constitution, is not allowed to be filled by just about anybody else. It needs to be a Belizean. That's how the constitution structured that the person that holds that office to qualify to hold that office. But that person must take a sworn oath to the head of state, to whom that person as a governor general is accountable to. They serve at the pleasure of the head of state, not at the pleasure of the prime minister, not because the prime minister recommended that person for the appointment. That means that the prime minister is supposed to have some kind of leverage over that person. The impression is that person is looking after the affairs of Belize, but if need be, according to the constitution, if there's something going on wrong, the governor general has the authority and the rights and responsibility as well, delegated to her in this case, or him in previous occasion, to look into any matter that is a problem in the country. For example, let's say we have a prime minister that goes haywire or is in dereliction of his sworn oath, or he is actually, doing some crazy stuff. He can be sacked. That prime minister can, the governor general could pull back his or her ascension to that office. I think we have dealt with that before in previous programs, where we read those specifically what the constitution says about that, how the governor general can sack a prime minister for due cause or justifiable reason. But it has never happened in our country because there has never been we never had a reason for it to happen. Now, I would say under the Budna scenario or under some of the other scenarios, it could have happened. Like, for example, under the Mai scenario, if the prime minister had refused to let Mr. Mai walk, he could have been brought into question in terms of, the bigger picture. But I don't want to go there. I'm straying away. I want to get back to the point that it is not the prime minister's prerogative in terms of who gets to serve as governor general. Because, like I said, the head of state could reject whatever recommendation he makes. The head of state has the final say. And we have been lucky, like I said, under Mr. Musa,
I think, Mr. Chairman, not to interject, for clarity for me, right? Then you said it should not be, but right?
No,
right? It should not be, right?
Yes, but
I mean, reality. Let's be real.
Yes,
let's be real to the Belizean people that the way it is.
Yes,
right?
That's why I agreed with what you said initially, and I was trying to apologize up front.
Just be mindful of that,
I was trying to explain how the process works in terms of what the constitution.
How the process should work.
Yes, sir.
Should.
Yes, sir.
The
and
word
so
should.
We had a Governor General, Mr. Young, under UEP, as well as he served under PUP. And then he went back and served under UDP again. And then he served under this present government in the beginning, when the government first went. They had a transition. While this government was in its previous term, it's when Mr. Lam was appointed as Governor General. Why? Because the previous Governor General was becoming infirm. So there was a need. It never happened because Mr. Bishop just want one new prime minister. I mean, one new governor general because he's the new prime minister. It doesn't work like that. He just happened to have been the person in office at the time as prime minister when the other person had to demit office. And we can recall what happened during the time when he was demitting office and when Mr. Lam took over, right? We had a deputy governor general who, for all intents and purposes, went and did some deeds we're not supposed to do in the first place and assented to certain things, right? And that's how these jackals then play. And that same person was a member of cabinet because he served at the pleasure of the prime minister as the secretary of cabinet while he was holding over as a temporary governor general between Mr. Young and Mr. Lam. So anyhow, we kind of segued a little bit there. I need to give Mr. Morrison an opportunity to speak to the issue that first brought up, which is Section 2 of the Constitution and Subsection 1 regarding the authority and the powers of the Constitution of Belize being the highest, the supreme law of our land. Are you back? Are you too, Mr. Morrison? I'm sorry for taking so long in a
Yeah.
long way of trying to explain the technicalities of what goes on with Governor General's position. Are you
Yeah.
back?
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Brackett. Well, the Constitution does give broad powers to the Governor General. Just to roll in on what you were saying, but for the most part, our Governor General seem to be hamstrung in terms of how they are allowed or are willing to operate. They don't seem to recognize their true role and responsibility as executives of the state. And that like you pointed out, they can bring into check and ask for audit. They can ask the prime minister to they're supposed to be serving the interest. They're supposed to be the person there that's serving the interest of the people and the constitution. You see, but one of the problems we have is that the governor general under our current construct does not really have an office of staff of lawyers and constitutional lawyers and support staff to give them the to support them in the responsibility that they truly have. I know countries that have very similar parliamentary structure as us, like in Australia and other countries. The governor general are powerful individuals that carries out real constitutional responsibilities.
Because those people respect the law, sir. Or local governance people, they don't respect the laws or constitution.
That's part of it. That's part of it that they don't. But also it has never been activated in our system, and so it seems like it would be new trend if they do it, but they do have the responsibility to make sure that the people's interest is being served in whatever the government. And if they feel that something need to be queried, they have a right to call the prime minister and say, we want to hear this information or provide this information, or why your government acting in this way. They're supposed to be the advocate for the people and the advocate for the constitution of Belize. But so far that is just totally bypassed by them, probably in ignorance, probably in that they're subdued because of the manner in how they are appointed and then recommended and then get the appointment by the Majesty, the British.
They are compliant.
Yes. Yes. So I agree with you. I just hope that somehow we are able to find a way to really bring alive the role and make the Governor General the advocate for the executive and for the rights of the people and the Constitution that they should. You mentioned something else earlier in what you were earlier talking about that I missed, Mr. Brackett. before Mr. Wade took it onto the Governor General, but you had a different point when you initially talked about it, about the subsection on the Constitution that you were referring 10.
Uh, that,
Okay.
that was in regards to the Constitution itself and the powers of the Constitution, which these people that we have as our present government are refusing to abide by. That is that they don't recognize our Constitution.
Yeah, well, that's true, but it has been a consistent pattern of the role that our Governor General have fallen into under both PUP and UDP administration. None of them seem to want sort of active or independent or people-centric or constitutional-centric Governor General. They all want one that will be subdued and compliant and just be a signature to whatever they produce. And that is mainly the reason why the budget for the Governor General is so low. It's not satisfactory. We see the government. We see the budget for the Auditor General being very low. I think it was like $400 and something thousand. We see the budget for the omnibusman. It's very low. It's like $300 and something thousand. And yet they're talking about millions and millions of dollars to buy
junk
land that we own. We're talking about hundreds of $1,000,000 to buy back land that government double sold through corrupt deals and stuff. So there's a lot going on, and they're not spending the money of the people's money in the proper way that provides the protection for the people. But they are willing to do all type of illegal and contrived action that fills the pocket of their supporters and themselves, their family, and it's just a very corrupt system that we run in terms of our governance.
The big hustle, sir. The big hustle. And it's unfortunate because better could be had. Thank you very much again, Mr. Morrison, for your contribution and your insightful thoughts. Thank you again to Mr. Wade for your insightful thoughts on the first part. I have another part here of the same essay that deals with part 5 of the Constitution of Belize, page number 49 in the electronic version, and it speaks to the issue of the executive. And I open bracket and said, executive authority, close bracket. I went on to cite and copied over section 36 of the Constitution of Belize and subsection 1, which reads as follows. The executive authority of Belize is vested in Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II or her heir, as in this case, her having died, then being the position then being vested in King Charles of the United Kingdom and Commonwealth of Great Britain. As I get to that point of talking about Commonwealth, do we see now how Canada is making use of the powers of that 2-point-something billion people residing in the Commonwealth, and how they are trying to use that now as a counterweight to the United States in terms of, how they're going to go about holding off the present U.S. government in terms of what's going on. You see how they tap into that when it is convenient? There's power to be had there. But anyhow, we don't want to get into that. That's another discussion for another time. It's just because it's current affairs why I brought it up, to show the relevance and the power behind the structure of that organization. Let me just leave that alone because I don't want to segue and lose. Okay. And then under section 2 of this same, under subsection 2, not section 2, subsection 2 of section 36, It reads as follows: subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the executive authority of Belize may be exercised on behalf of Her Majesty or His Majesty by the Governor General, whether it be a he or her, as in this case, a her, Miss Salam, either directly or through officers subordinate to him or her, as in this case, subordinate to her, as in the case of Miss Salam, government cabinet ministers, etc. So, what do we learn from that? Remember, it's a teachable moment we're dealing with right now in these constitutional affairs, right? What have we learned then from just this one subsection here? It's a ask and answered question. The question is in the reading. I mean, the answer is in the reading. What we learn is that the Governor General is a superior officer. In other words, the government members of cabinet and others below them are subordinate officers to the Governor General. So how can anybody in their right mind, knowing the Constitution and knowing what it specifies and how the system is supposed to operate, continue propagating this idea to our people, to deceive our people, that the Governor General is just a figurehead? It appears that way because of how, like Mr. Wade said earlier, how they practice, the affairs of the country. Like Mr. Morrison pointed out just now, the budget of the Governor General does not afford the Governor General to be able to look seriously into any of these matters from a constitutional perspective, because she now has to depend on the Attorney General, who is a member of cabinet, to come and advise her. And the advice is always going to be, whatever cabinet is doing is the legal and most desirable way to approach or to go ahead. And therefore, it's all right for her to go ahead and sign or give ascension to even a situation where she's giving them ascension to a PCC act that, for all intents and purposes, eviscerates her position and her boss's position. I mean, that's the audacity, right? She doesn't have the power to do that, to assent to them any powers that will dismiss her or her boss. But yet these jackals feel like that is exactly what she did, because they got her to do that. Put her seal on a document that says the PCC will make a recommendation. I forget what number of recommendation, but it was one of those recommendations that they made to the Prime Minister, that for all intents and purposes eviscerates the position of the Governor General and the head of state. And the Prime Minister, who will then run for office of Prime Minister by himself, separately, and not as a member of Congress, will then, by some kind of osmosis, inherit those powers without having transacted any kind of acquiescence from the head of state. They will acquire those powers. I don't know if they're going to probably cut the man head off like what they did in France, no? And send them people to the guillotine so they could take with them powers. I guess Belize is heading in that direction right now. But I'm being funny, right? I'm just trying to be funny. But for all intents and purposes, that's basically what is being stipulated here in section 36, subsection 2. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, meaning the one and only Constitution we have at the time, and not the PCC, because it's not a Constitution yet. The executive authority of Belize is not vested in the Prime Minister, but that executive authority may be exercised on behalf of Her Majesty by the Governor General, either directly or through officers subordinate to him or her, the Governor General, such as government cabinet ministers, etc. At subsection 3 of this same section 36, it says, nothing in this section shall prevent the National Assembly from conferring functions on persons or authorities other than the Governor General. That is to say, they have no power and authority to confer no powers on the Governor General or to take away any powers from the Governor General. I yield to you, Mr. Wade, as a former lawman. You know, I guess this would be intriguing.
We see all the hanky panky play, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Morrison. You made a good point there, Mr. Morrison, as to the way the country is run. And I will leave you, Mr. Chairman, with this: that you see how they select uh, Attorney General,
Hmm.
okay, and you mentioned, Mr. Morrison, the duties of the Governor General should be about people and nation, and doing the right thing, right?
Hmm.
But you see how the Attorney General behave. He swings 190-degree away from the people and nation, and goes back to the person who elect him, who gave
Hmm.
him that always covering up and shielding, which he should not do. He should not do, but that's the way they operate, right? So, Mr. Chairman, it's a teachable moment as to the procedure and protocol of our constitution, right? But in reality, that's not the way things happen, especially in Belize. That's not the way it happens, right? So I'll pass it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade. Um, but I would like to chip in a little piece of something here that I always hear people talk about too, and that is that our system of governance and our constitution was given to us by the British, and since we don't care to like the British anymore, we don't need them anymore. We just want them out of our face and out of our hair and out of our business. And we will handle the Guatemalans them or anybody else, even the United States, on our
What
own.
the word "we," Mr. Chairman? Sorry, we. That word is bad, right? That not we, right? So let's right.
When I say the we, I refer to like Belizeans. I mean the Belize, the Belize, all of us.
No, 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 no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, no.
I know where
I
they
beg,
come
I
from. And
beg to differ on that one.
I yield that point. I would not banter or belabor that point
Yes,
anymore.
sir.
That is
Yes,
well
sir.
taken. Um, but anyhow, back to the issue as you brought up about Mr. Or
Yes.
Attorney General, for example. I was going to ask a question, but maybe I shouldn't put it in a question form. I should just make a statement of it and get it over with. That same gentleman had won a major civil rights case in Belize and set a precedence. Okay, and now as the Attorney General, no, that happened when he was a private attorney. Okay, and now as the Attorney General, he's turning around and pretending that, well, in his new capacity now, he doesn't recognize the right that he did before and the rights that he defended before, because now he's being paid to be a scofflaw and to basically
Yeah.
go against the very law that he helped, you
He
know.
had defended.
Yeah. So now he's saying, okay, well, in his position, he's being paid not to be an attorney general responsible for all legal matters that relates to public affairs and to be a defender thereof, but that he is going to defend the prime minister as a private lawyer to the prime minister and cabinet.
Yeah.
That's not his portfolio. But as you rightfully pointed out before, sir, we're dealing with jackals, and that is the outcome when you're dealing with jackals. And anyhow, I was going to use a different word just now, but I need to keep it respectful, and I'm gonna go now before I get in trouble and yield to Mr. Morrison. Mr. Morrison, the floor is yours, sir.
No, I said that was a good point about where our Attorney General stands, and it shows that they don't stand on integrity, justice. They stand on who could pay me. I'm
Now,
up for bidding. I will advocate for whoever pay me, and I'll say whatever, and I'll defend whatever position I can defend based on the money that's coming my way. And that's totally,
sad, sad.
it breaks down all confidence that people would have in the system. Even if he had recused himself, he'd have a little bit more integrity to deal with, or if he had advised the government in the proper manner in terms of how they should deal with it. I mean, I for one,
So Morrison, could you
yes.
spare me a second? Could you spare me a second? Quickly. I would like to be a fly on the wall if the Attorney General is going to accompany our Foreign Affairs Minister in any meetings that they're going to have with the State Department in regards to what this congressman, the head of that the Foreign Affairs committee, is querying into. I would like to be a fly on the wall to see and hear how the Attorney General is going to respond to or answer to any of the legal questions that are going to be asked. Because I'm almost certain those questions, the issue will not be much about questions. The issue will be more about a lecture of your
Well,
fear.
I'm not up. I believe Belize has its own sovereignty and territorial integrity, and I want our leaders to always
It's
stand
compromised.
strong.
It's compromised. That's my problem. It
No,
doesn't
I
work.
understand,
Really.
but I'm not gonna shorten it by I don't think we should have been put in that position to
That's
have to
not
make those responses and stuff. Um, the attorney general, to me, I'm kind of disappointed a lot in the role he has given and the way he has performed his job as attorney general. As a private attorney, he seemed to be a very amiable, very capable individual, but as attorney general, he have not shown competence. He have not shown um, integrity to the law and to the Constitution. And so, for those reasons, it causes me to question his everything about him now, because he doesn't come across as genuine, and even to some degree because of some of the ruling he's making and some of the decisions he's coming by as competent. You see, so I've lost trust in him, but I know that as a private attorney, he was very successful, and winning cases after cases in the courts, and defending clients that seemed at some point that they weren't going to survive the prosecution attempt. So when they act in such shifty manner, it brings into question, and it takes away from the people the ability to have the confidence that the government is functioning the way it should, and consistency across the laws of the country. Like, our laws are just being put there, and today we'll play with it and we'll make something happen because it's in our favor, and we'll move all the pieces. Everything gets moved to satisfy these interests at this point. And there's nothing fixed, there's nothing stable, there's nothing consistent that grounds the laws that's supposed to govern our country and to protect the rights of our people and the sovereignty of our constitution.
very well said, sir. And I'll add a little bit more to that by saying, repeating what you just said, basically, but with a different set of words, to say that because they compromise and play games with our constitution and our settled laws in so many different ways, they are not in a position now when these other people come to investigate them, or come to try and pressure them. They are not in a position to be independent enough to guarantee or to fight on behalf of our own sovereignty. because they are found wanting and violating the very same law that's supposed to be there for them to back into and say, well, you know what, my constitution say I can't do it that way. You'll have to pardon me, or you'll have to give me a leave pass in this instance because I can't suborn the constitution, because as an officer of the state, I have to live up to the requirements of my constitution. And my constitution says, you know, so I hope that stop, try trample upon way, or not try stop with interactions or with business situations and so on. Like I'm talking now, like if I was one of the fly in the room, like I asked about earlier, right? Because these people will be brought to task, and the very same things that they transgressed and used before will be brought against them and thrown in their face, and they won't be able to say, well, my constitution says this, therefore I have to back into this, and therefore I can't.
Exactly, exactly.
You
Because
don't.
they have compromised it so much. They have
Right?
they have compromised it so much that they can't stand on anything and say, "Our Constitution says these things, therefore I can't do it." No, you break it every time you want. Every time it suits your purpose, you undermine your Constitution. You
Uh,
have no regard for the Constitution and your citizens. How
uh,
could you how could you now present that to us as a point of defense against fulfilling whatever our request is that we are asking you?
mhm. Mr. Wade, I go back to you again for a couple of seconds, for a couple of minutes, sir, just
Thank
so you
you.
can
Well said. Well,
add
thank you,
additional
Mr.
thoughts on
Chairman.
that.
I give you 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
Take a 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Say
Just
right. Well said there, Mr. Morrison. We see how when a party comes in power, whether it's a blue party or a red party, they bring in their own people to serve their own interests, right? You see how they set them up, and how they defend each other, right? But like in the real essence of doing right by the Constitution, they are not there. Um, doing right by the people, our nation, they are not there. So it's so sad to see that the people, that comes into office, we see how they behave, and it's a repetitious cycle, and they are so strong and bold, like, who dare take me to test, who dare to tell me, like, I couldn't do that, or I shouldn't do that, or. So the poor people, if the mechanized don't have enough money to take them all the way to court, and do their due diligence, because they don't have the money,
mhm.
right? And so they keep getting away, right? So, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Merson, I pray for UNCOC to be placed on the books and fully enacted, right? I pray for that, and I'm waiting, right? And then when that happened, hopefully we'll see some justice served.
Some of them go to jail.
We'll see some justice served to our people and the nation. We'll see some justice.
Thank you very much again, Mr. Wade, for those nice remarks, sir. But I would like to transition into another part of the same essay. Under Section 37 of the Constitution of Belize, subsection 1, it reads as follows: There shall be a Prime Minister of Belize, who shall be appointed by the Governor General. And under subsection 2 of Section 37, it goes on to say, whenever the Governor General has an occasion to appoint a Prime Minister, he or she, the Prime Minister, the Governor General, he or she, so she in this case, Ms. Salam, shall, shall appoint a member of the House of Representatives who is the leader of the political party which commands the support of the members of the members of that house. That is the majority. It doesn't say majority here, but that's what is implied or intended to say. Under subsection 4, it goes on to read, it says, the Governor General shall remove the Prime Minister from office. I'm trying to be funny now, right?
Uh, yeah.
Mr. Morrison,
Hmm.
you heard that piece?
Yes, I did.
I'll read it again for
You want to remove the prime minister?
wait. No. Wait. I'm not saying that I want to remove him. You put anyway. Make a stop that conversation. Make a leave that alone. Uh, the public doesn't know that me and you every once in a while we get into some long bantering and so on about these issues and that's about. But anyway, let me leave that alone. And I'm not trying to remove him. I would like for him to be gone. Probably cabinet could just vote him a no confidence vote, and that would solve the problem because I can't remove him.
Yeah.
I've been asking for him to go the mid from he was in his first term, but time to run out and I lose time, and I'm going to run out of time.
Yeah.
This program. Let me just finish reading stuff. No, it says the Governor General shall, in quotation I have here, remove the Prime Minister. Something in the background. The Governor General shall remove the Prime Minister from office if a resolution of no confidence in the government is passed by the House of Representatives. And we know that's not going to happen because of the solid
Super majority.
that we currently have. Even if cabinet overthrow the man or try to overthrow him, you still get enough support from the other backbenchers then, right? With their super majority. And the last part of that says it's passed by the House of Representatives, and the Prime Minister does not, blah, 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 blah. You know, it goes on to, in other words, if the Prime Minister does not demit office after no confidence vote is passed, the Governor General powers shall come to bear in removing him from office. In other words, just like how he appoints him as Prime Minister when they come for the ascension vote after the general election, he also has in reserve powers the ability to remove him from office. Okay? So I hope that is not news to most Belizeans. And if it is, then I hope, I'm happy to have brought the bad news. I go to section 6, and it reads as, not section 6, subsection 6 of section 37, and it reads as follows. In exercise of the powers conferred on him or her as the Governor General, by this section, the Governor General shall act in his or her own deliberate judgment. I wonder what percent of the population understand that statement. In exercise of the powers conferred on him or her as Governor General, by this section, the Governor General shall act in his or her own deliberate judgment. Part 4 of the Constitution of Belize reads as page number 46, under the title of Governor General Established Office. Section 30 reads as follows. There shall be a Governor General of Belize, who shall be a citizen of Belize, as I previously stipulated in the preface to our discussion, appointed by Her Majesty, and shall hold office during Her Majesty's pleasure, and who shall be Her Majesty's representative. Did I read some? Oh. Okay. I was reading this as if it concerns the Prime Minister himself, and part 4 deals with the Governor General. Okay, so I had transitioned, and I should have allowed for us to have a little something to say about what I had read previously. I read 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I read 4, 6. Mr. Morrison, you want to take a shot at maybe saying anything about what I just read before I go into this part 4 section? Or if you wish to hold on for another minute, then I could ask myself. Yeah,
Mr. Morrison, your mic is off, Mr. Morrison.
No, I was saying that under our Constitution and the way it has been practiced, the Prime Minister nominates the person they feel would serve the country in the capacity as Governor General. As you had indicated, our Governor General is not intended to be a political service person, another member in Parliament, in government, in position of support of government, in a partisan way. They're supposed to support the government of the country, but not in a partisan political manner. And so
they're not supposed to obstruct unnecessarily.
They're not supposed to support or obstruct unnecessarily. They have a very benign role in terms of how things are supposed to work, but they're also supposed to be the gatekeeper of good governance.
That's the point. That is the good governance. That one word, good, makes a difference in terms of what's been happening and what is expected.
Yes. So we have seen. I don't think any of our Governor General, except for one that kind of stepped out some ways in the past, and maybe what they were doing was not unconstitutional, but it was a little untoward in the past. But we pulled back from that. We pulled back from that, and so far, I believe that our Governor Generals are acting consistent with the practice that they have been laid out before them. They need to discover for themselves what the role of a Governor General truly is. And there are many examples across the Commonwealth where this system is structured to see what responsibility and what roles and conscious Governor General should be carrying out. Because as I keep saying, they're supposed to be the advocate for the people and the advocate for the country, and supposed to be the defender of the Constitution. But like I said earlier, and we agreed, part of the problem is that they may not be sufficiently informed, but more importantly, they do not have the budget, they do not have the financial support and budget in government to deal with these type of issues.
And that is by design, to either to muffle or silence any resistance or opposition from them, to make them compliant.
Oh, it definitely is, because when we don't fund the omnibus office, when we don't fund the ombudsman office, when we don't fund the auditor general's office, when we don't fund any of those things, we are by such action declaring that we don't want them to fulfill their function and role beyond the limit that we have provided for them, and to just be a paper pusher or a party stalwart, but no independent approach in their constitutional responsibility.
Yes, sir. On that point about the Auditor General, I hope we haven't forgotten how we came about having a Auditor General most recently appointed, right? And appointed for what? I think 35 to 40 years? How the hell can a Prime Minister with good conscience and good faith towards his country do that to any future Prime Minister when he know he won't be around for the editorial?
Well, I think I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with a 6-year term for an office, even out of your office. But no auditor general, and that kind of stuff should just be legal. And that's where our Governor General needs to come in. That's where our constitutional lawyers and our courts need to step in and say, Mr. Prime Minister, with all good difference to your office, you cannot appoint someone for that type of term in the government. You cannot do that, and that's where we need to have people of goodwill, people of conscience, people of justice and clarity about the rule of law step in and make these type of constitutional and people-centric advocacy so that we don't get this miscarriage of behavior by a prime minister of any party.
Thank you very much again, sir, for such a lucid and comprehensive contribution. I do want to say again, in addition, the purpose of this particular platform or the Belizean Affairs show itself is targeted mostly so, as most people will notice over the last 412 programs that we have done, to bring to demand accountability of our government and to bring uh, um, to bear some leverages, even if it's just as a matter of embarrassing the government and or to educate the government if they need education, educate the general public, and to make sure that the government does not get away with just misusing and abusing the powers vested in them and powers that are not vested in them to do us harm. By the way, it's not just about the government from the prime minister and cabinet coming down. I'm talking about including the governor general herself and including the head of state himself, as in the case now it's a him and not her. Because in the past I have written to the previous head of state, Queen Elizabeth, on major critical issues of the country. Okay? And I have no problems writing now to her son. Because if I deal with her, I could deal with the son too. As well as writing to past governor generals. And if I wrote to them and deal with certain issues to them, I don't have a problem dealing with this existing governor general as well. The point is that there's a clause in the Constitution that says that no one is supposed to bring into disrepute the office of the governor general. So I'm going to say this here, and I've said it in the past, but I'm going to say it a little bit more concise and clearer now. I am no respecter of person. As I've said, whether it be the head of state, the governor general, the prime minister, anybody else thereafter, including the courts or whatever, when it comes to the when it comes to my country and its affairs. There's a reason why I named this program Belizean Affairs. Okay? Because it came to my attention that we do need to speak to these issues and try and get the attention of the governor general to do her job the way it's supposed to be done or intended to be done, and to not have these guys getting off, pretending that, well, they're exercising some powers that is beyond her authority and power. Like I said, the executive authority is vested in the head of state, represented by the governor general, who can delegate some of those authority to subordinate officers. So when these subordinate officers are getting out of line, we do need to adjust or bring to her attention the fact that she needs to do something about what these other guys are doing. That is the purpose for her office. Otherwise, if she's not going to do what she needs to do or we're in, then maybe she needs to be removed. Maybe we need to go after the head of state himself. Okay? That's the way I perceive these things and how I operate with these things. You know how many letters I have written behind the scene that hasn't been public knowledge? Okay? And I don't wait for no one then delegate me as no ambassador on behalf of my country, or as no spokesperson on behalf of my country. I do what I need to do and what I think is right and needs to be done in the interest of the well-being of my country, in the interest of the bigger picture, what we used to call back in the days when I was more, heavily involved. We used to call it the greater cause, right? And for that greater cause, we are willing to put our lives down, much less, being sent to jail for sedition or for bringing into disrepute any of these people. It's not us that's bringing them into disrepute by questioning their misconduct or their behavior or their exercise of powers, duly vested and not duly vested, because the governor general has no powers vested in her. That's a reserved power of the head of state to decide if and when he will be removed from head of state. That is not the purview of the Governor General to delegate that reserve power that she doesn't have unto herself to these rascals for them to write out of the Constitution the existence of the office of the Governor General and the existence of a head of state, when in fact they want the Prime Minister to become the new head of state, which for all intents and purposes will not be a Prime Minister. It will be a head of state, and that head of state will be a president for all intents and purposes. But that's not what they're explaining to the people why they're so hot to try and evaluate this present constitution, because we can only have one constitution at a time, not two, compared to what the Attorney General and the Prime Minister was stipulating. That is that there's two different referendums, one in the current constitution and the one that they are trying to get under the PCC Act. And when the PCC is not law of the land yet, it hasn't replaced the current constitution. So how the devils are they going to get up there and verbalize to us, Belizean, that they can't give us a referendum on the basis of our current constitution and the requirements and constitutional prescripts? But that's how these jackals roll. Nevertheless, I think we're getting close to our closing time, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to finish the whole thing. As a closeout, oh man, yeah, it's I have enough for another show. Anyhow, let me stop. Oh yeah, I need to be back to where I was just now and just close out. Okay, so on we'll close it right here on this part. I won't go into part 4 as I was trying to do earlier when I backtracked and I solicited comments. I'm just going to close out and end up that right now. And at some future date, maybe next Friday, we can take up the rest of it, if I remember, or if there's nothing more urgent then. I'll just reread the last subsection of section 37. Okay, and the last one that I quoted here was section 37, subsection 6, and it reads, in the exercise of the powers conferred on him or her by this section, the Governor General shall act in his or her own deliberate judgment. And that particular statement there, to act in his or her own deliberate judgment, happens quite a few times, at least that I'm aware of, at least a half a dozen times in this one particular section of the Constitution alone. So it's not intended for the Governor General to not have or exercise the executive powers that is vested in her, you know. And I wish they would stop acting like figurehead, so they stop being classified as figurehead. And that's the end of my commentary for tonight. I will give Mr. Morrison another couple minutes for closing remarks, sir, in regards to what we'd like the public to be left with, some observations. You, sir. Mr. Morrison? Mr. Morrison?
Yes, sorry about that. Yeah,
that's all right.
You know,
those I was screening, just 1 second. I yield 2 minutes to you for a closing remarks of whatever is it that you have in your head that you can grace us with, you know, in terms of maybe a summation in a few words, probably for about a couple of minutes, because we are beyond our closing time right now, right?
Yeah, and you're taking up my time now.
No, I'm giving you two. It will take 2 to 3 minutes. We'll take whatever we need to take.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
And then I'll go to Mr. Wade for him to give us a couple of minutes closing too of his own thoughts, and then I think that will be the close out of the show. Hopefully, I don't have a need to make any additional comments. And you, sir?
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the concerns I had was that is on the radar right now is the congressman that had sent a letter to the Secretary of State, Mr. Rubio, and I was thinking, you know, while we can appreciate individual concerns and interests, I don't like tangling other people in our national security and national issues, and
So,
so I kind of reserve those for us to settle, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a little bit off put on UNCAC. I would like to for UNCAC to help us to develop frameworks for how we should be addressing corruption, and set those out in our laws. But I don't like the idea of where you would have UNCAC lawyers and stuff presenting cases and advancing cases to our courts for prosecution, because we know that everything in the end can be corrupted. Every human action has the potential of being corrupted, and these organizations themselves have their own self-interest. We
mhm.
have seen how they have split things, and how they come down on one side, whether it is, whether it is the national nuclear investigation committee that's trying to find nuclear weapons, or whatever it is. They have ways of finding stuff and creating stuff to
Mr.
serve
Smith,
to serve their interests, and not the country's interest necessarily. So I'm a little off put on some of those things, and so I'm similarly off put in having the American Secretary of State getting involved in our issues.
well,
Although we can appreciate the need that we need to make fixes to what we have, because it's not working well.
well taken, sir. And I would like to add quickly again on what you just said. I also reserve my concerns in terms of having to have us as a small little fly in the ointment for the whole powers of this country of the United States to be directed at Belize. It just doesn't make no sense. The population of Belize is 500,000 people. What can we do to make a difference in the bigger picture in terms of whatever we can do as a small little entity as such, to have to be blamed and be focused on by these high power people who have bigger things and bigger acts to grind? It just doesn't make sense, and it's unreasonable and unfair. We don't have the ability or the capacity, or we don't have nothing that is required for us to have in order to make a difference in that. We don't even have a penny in that dollar, so to speak. So as to say, well, if we don't contribute all 1 penny, that dollar will not be a whole dollar. You know, hell, man, give us a little space. What a basic civility and decency. I yield back, so Ms. Awade, I go to you for your closing remark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well said there, Mr. Morrison. I will continue to, as for me, to demand accountability. Um, I say that the United States government has no right to meddle in other countries' affairs just like that if they don't have a reason to do it. But my take on that is that if the Belize government, the leaders don't go out with their hands begging all the time and accepting all these gifts, everything has there's a feedback on everything,
Yeah.
right? So all my take on that is that if they could go begging for all this money every time, and accepting all this donation, um, um, and as for the nation of Belize is run by the U.S. is when I say that 98% of 85% of the people living in Belize accepting some kind of gift on a daily basis from the U.S., right? That's my take on that. So I think that the U.S. has a right and a responsibility to tell you, what did you do with the $10 I gave you to do so and so and so? Show it to me. Give it to me. Give me the receipts. And then you sum up that $10 that I gave you and say, "Here, see, so if you have nothing to hide, you should have a problem with that, right?" So I applaud the U.S. government for demanding accountability of the taxpayers' money, right? That is given, right? Tell me how you spend it, or show it to me in receipts. right? If not, well, there is a penalty that you got to pay. So I say this to say that, you see what happened to the ombudsman quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
How he got, how he got to be the ombudsman. That man was retired. They up
Change the law.
the Briseno guy up the retirement age for that ombudsman and the um both of them on one day so that he could have gotten these two people. So now when this ombudsman, Mr. Swazo, turn around and tell him, you know what, produce produce the money, produce receipts, show the nation how much you spend of the taxpayers' money on such and such. So you see what the Briseno guy did, right? So that's what happened to you when you behold him, right? See, that's exactly what happened. So, Mr. Swazo, sorry, man. You get exactly what you deserve, right? So, on that note, that's how I feel on that. And I just draw a little scenario as to what happened to anyone that tries to, anyone that the powers to be put in a seat, regardless if you don't have the qualification, you don't have the experience, but he put you in that seat to serve him, and then you do not do what he wants you to do. You see what happened. So that's all I got to say on that. And Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr. Morrison, thank you for
Thank you
Thank you.
very much,
sharing.
Mr. Wade. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. That's a good point of rolling it up, because the role of the ombudsman is important in our society, the structure, and
Exactly.
we have been you know, for a long time it was inactive and it was very political. And even though the previous ombudsman was probably PUP related, he
Same as
found
this one, Mr.
independence.
Morrison. Same as
He
this
found
one.
independence in making some judgment
Yeah,
that got under their feather, and so they choose not to renew his contract.
that's right.
And it's just that if you disagree with me, there's no place for disagreement in our governance. There's none. You have to buy into it fully, or you're not a good PUP, or you're not a good Belizean, or you're not deserving of getting paid.
Shooting on that, Mr.
Uh,
Morrison. So true.
all the government officials they need to do is do the right thing by the people, govern the country correctly, and we wouldn't have these kind of issues. We wouldn't have the issue with the ombudsman. We wouldn't have the issue with the
U.S. State
attorney
Department. You
general.
would have the
We
issue with
wouldn't
the
have the
U.S.
issue
State
with the
Department
department. We
either.
wouldn't have the issue. We wouldn't have any of these things because these people are questioning our behavior. Well, I shouldn't say "or" again because I stand corrected, Mr. Wade. It's not "or" because we are not part of it. I mean, the behavior on behalf,
Yes, sir.
the behavior of the government representing the people, because we, the people of Belize, are not the malignant types that these guys are reflecting us to be, and why these other people have to get involved, like Mr. Morrison said, if we local small time Belizean business. I mean, these guys are putting us, you know,
Yeah, but
in a commercial situation and anything else. Because we economy could get crushed by one letter from the State Department. That's how vulnerable we are. But
guys,
then that means that
quickly, Leonard, do you know the amount of items comes into this country to distribute to Belizean on a weekly basis?
Mhm.
On a weekly basis, the amount of import from the U.S. that people send. Well, you should know that, Mr. Morrison, Leonard,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And if they don't get that, what happened to our people? They die, or they go hungry, or
Yeah,
they something happened to them if they
yeah.
don't get that.
Mr. Weird, I recall doing one
Telling
analysis.
you,
I recall doing one analysis and some numbers crunching on that particular perspective. And the Prime Minister had mentioned that we had gotten, I think it was 300 and something, 300 something million
nearly
dollars.
400, yeah.
But the man tried to
Yeah.
make it sound like it was Belize dollars he was talking
Yeah.
about because he was in Belize. He's trying to do a thing like where,
Yeah.
the opposite of where Ascoff and Barrow did, no? Talk about American money. But at least Barrow thought it was Belize money, while
So,
Mr. Ascoff was thinking that they were negotiating American money because they were in America when they were doing the discussion about dollars.
so,
When
Mr.
time to pay
Chairman,
up,
quickly.
when time to pay up, when time to pay up, Mr. Man no want receive no Belize dollars. He want US dollars. He want twice as much.
So, Mr. Chairman, quickly, and Mr. Morrison, I am talking to Mr. Briseno. No, you better hurry up and go and try to manufacture some receipt, right? That's all I'm gonna say. Because his guy, the guy from out on the key, he produced some receipt. This is what I spent my $240,000 that in community purse, right? This is what I, so,
Well, you have
so
to
sad.
produce.
These jackals.
I know the Prime Minister will have to produce as part of this investigation is how come he was able to break our laws, our constitution, and get away with it, and still have the court rule in his favor to say he was constitutionally in his rights and authority to do so, when the constitution does not say that. So did we have then another? Do we then have another Mr. Honduras? So another
Well,
judge? Is that
well, he will
correct?
change the constitution quickly.
I don't think want to come out, you know.
He will change it quickly.
No, seriously. I don't think want to come out.
Man,
All prove that we
well,
have the right to take away the man property under eminent domain, and we, the government, never own it at no point in time. The transfer of title went straight from Mr. Feinstein to the other company, but he was taking it under eminent domain, under free name. You know, he lied. He
well,
lied to the court. He lied to everybody. So they asking the question now again, and who he lied to now? They come for the man, you know.
anyway,
They come for around for them residual money where they get from his father. Or his father is still.
Mr. Chairman, it's always a pleasure sitting in your company. Mr. Morrison, thank you for gracing us tonight, with your input, highly appreciate. And
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, thank you for, producing this 212 edition of our Belizean Affairs show. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the closing, but before we take off, I want to mention that we only did about half of the program tonight.
Yeah.
So, and this was very lively and very nice program. It turned out to be I'm still live, so I'm giving you gentlemen your kudos because you deserve it. We made a good program of it tonight with only half of the material. So, if anybody interested to hear what the rest of the material has in terms of, I'm looking forward to next Friday night.
Tune in.
When I will be chairman again. But
Thank you.
if in case Mr. Brackett, who is the chairman for Monday night, doesn't show up, I might steal his time to probably try and close this out. So tentatively, I'm saying to the rest of the public, don't wait till Friday. Stay engaged with us for Monday, and maybe Wednesday when Mr. Wade is the chairman,
Are you trying to steal Mr. Wade time?
I try to figure out that we have a chance to finish it up before I get to Friday back again.
Yeah.
That's something craziness.
No, that
Nice program,
very
gentlemen.
important. Nice program.
Just appreciate the fact that you guys graced us with
Educate
your presence tonight.
Educate the public.
I'm sure that the people are a little better off for having heard our program tonight than they would have been otherwise. Tonight, Belizeans at home and abroad. This was the Belizean Affairs show number 412. Share with us. We hope that whatever we accrue to some public positive benefit to you and the rest of your country and countrymen. We're gone, like most would have said. That's the end of the night.